Okay, today I'm here in the Gardens Park again with my friend Lacey.
Hey.
And I wanted to talk to you about a question that I get asked all the time, and I'm sure you get asked it too because we're both realtors here in Las Vegas. And that is, what's the deal with all the HOAs? And we're gonna give you some tips and some things you should definitely look out for if you're considering buying in one, and also why they can be really good.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people call us, I know you heard this as well, and they're super stressed about the fact that they don't want to buy a house with an HOA because they've had a bad experience.
Yeah, but how many options do you even have for that in Las Vegas?
Not a lot.
Not very many.
Not very many.
You know, I don't live in an HOA right now, but I mean, the majority of the valley is in one.
I think we're close to 85 to 90% HOA, easily.
That, yeah.
So, and the reason I know a lot of people are concerned or scared of HOAs or homeowners associations is because California and other communities like that outside of Las Vegas have become really strict and stupid with weird fines, and they start to jack up the prices, and it just really makes it hard for people to be relaxed knowing that they live under someone else's rules, right?
Absolutely.
It's not really like that in Vegas. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some. I'm sure there are some communities that might be, you know, more like a regime style, but
regime style, I like that.
But for the most part, no, it kind of helps preserve the community, make sure people aren't just like throwing their trash out and having
painting their house purple, you know.
My neighbor up my street, because we don't have an HOA, it's freaking pink.
Pink.
So, pink. Yeah. My wife likes it though. I don't know.
Yeah, that's really what an HOA is for. It's to preserve the value of your home, to make sure that what you bought and what you spent money on, the biggest purchase of your life, is going to be as much as possible kept valuable and kept within the same way that it was when you bought it.
Absolutely.
Right? You don't want a toilet seat or an empty toilet or a broken down car on your neighbor's front yard as much as they don't want that on yours. So for us today, we want to just talk about, yes, we have HOAs. They're not quite as scary as other places, but we want to give you some kind of tips for things to look out for when you are buying a home in an HOA so that you can kind of be ready to go.
Yeah, I would say the number one is if there's any pending lawsuits already in the community. I know we've talked about some specific communities in town before, but just finding out if there's anything going on that you might have an issue trying to sell the home later.
Yeah, that does become an issue selling your home, for sure. Yeah, lenders might not even clear it for you to purchase a home from a buyer standpoint if there's a lawsuit that's pending.
Yeah, absolutely.
And lawsuits can come in a variety of ways. Let's pretend that you have a community park in the middle of your community, your neighborhood, and the HOA is responsible for keeping that park up, and someone falls and, God forbid, hurts themselves and then decides to sue the HOA to cover their medical bills. When that happens, that's a pending lawsuit that's then weighing on all of the homeowners that live there until it's resolved, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Another tip that I'd say is, you know, there are some communities in town that are a little bit more regime style, as you said.
Okay, I know where we're going with this one.
That like to impose speeding rules and interesting rules and fines on the homeowner when they're not even the perpetrator of the crime. For instance, I'm not going to say names. No, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
It rhymes with Smode's Fance.
Smode's Fance. Smode's Fance.
Prodes.
Anyway, we're not going to say the name, but I will say a couple of communities in Las Vegas have a tendency to say you as the homeowner are responsible for how your guests act when they're there. So let's say I come to visit someone in Smode's Prance community. Let's say Steve lives there. I get there, it's an exciting night, we're having a good old time, and I decide to go a little faster than they say is supposed to be gone on the road. Maybe it's a 15 mile an hour, and I decide to go 18 miles an hour. They can then impose, and they do very happily, a fine of $100
minimum $100
to you if I speed.
Yeah, and if you don't pay it, they put a lien on your house.
Yeah.
Same with if you blow through a stop sign. So I have clients and friends that live in Smode's Fance, and they have to be very conscious that anyone that comes to visit them, they have to be like, hey, just so you know, like, be really careful and mindful of all the stop signs or whatever. But sometimes the stop signs are kind of hard to see between all the foliage and all the beautiful things there's to see. Like they're not trying to be mischievous, but they're definitely collecting
they're not
their
real
tolls.
Police or real security, right? So they can't impose that on the person who's doing what's wrong, which is speeding or whatever, blowing through a stop sign. So the only way to get the money for it and to impose those stricter rules is to put it on the homeowner. Yeah. So it does suck. We will let you know in person what those names of those communities are, so we can either avoid them or you can just be aware of what those are. But that's definitely
I still like those communities, but
I love them.
But
They're beautiful.
It's a big thing that would deter me a little bit.
It's a little bit ridiculous. Yeah. What's another one, Steve?
I'm gonna also say just knowing what their budget is.
Yes.
You know, I had a client who recently purchased a condo, and they were sitting in on the minutes, which is where they have the meeting, you know, the board meeting and everything like that for the homeowners association. And they were debating whether they would have enough funds this upcoming year to be able to keep the pest guy to get rid of their pigeon problem or their gardener.
So they had to make it like it was like Sophie's choice of gardener or pigeons?
Do we have enough money for pigeons or for landscaping? And so just finding out in advance
how much money they have in reserve.
Yeah, you know, and this whenever you purchase a home, you get what's called the resale package, which has all of the bylaws and all the, you can even request minutes from previous meetings up to like a couple of years. So that's definitely something I would recommend getting a little more of a thorough dive on.
And we can help with that. You know, when you work with our team, you know, that is a part of our process when you're purchasing or even when you're selling the home, you know, understanding if it's going to be a problem selling your home because there's a lien due to something that happened with some random, you know, park incident that we talked about, or to your point, when you're the buyer, being able to help you review those documents and understand them and really look out for weird stuff.
Absolutely.
Another thing too is understanding stuff that like you have to compare the rules and the regulations in that resale package to your lifestyle. So if you're someone who loves to work on cars is your biggest, most favorite thing to do. You want to have 2 or 3 cars that are being worked on whether in your garage or in front of your home.
Are you talking about me?
I'm talking about you, which is why I know you don't live in it.
I feel like you're talking about
But you don't have cars strewn about. But
I did. I painted an old 72 Chevy truck on my driveway.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I would have been
I just asked my neighbors
neighbor
to like move their car so I didn't get overspray on them. But like,
this is my
I'm
point.
like white trash.
No, you're not white trash. You're definitely just someone. He's not, and his house is impeccably kept and it's beautiful. But you have like your garage is your garage, your actual mechanic's garage, and so because of that, some HOAs don't allow you to work on cars in your garage.
Or you have to shut the garage door after a certain period of time.
And it's really hot. So you want to become super familiar with like what you're into doing and what those rules are to make sure that you're, you know, maybe you're a guy that likes to wash his own car every weekend, every Saturday you're out there with your thing. Some of them don't allow you to do that, right? So you have to just be really in tune with what you're planning on doing in your regular everyday life and compare that to the rules and regulations of the neighborhood. One of the things that I always often think people forget about is, you know, when they're buying a home that has a backyard and they want to put in a pool or they want to renovate the front yard or they want to put in an apple tree or whatever it is, most HOAs are going to require that you actually submit the plans for what you want to do to them for approval before you can do it.
Right. For the most part, it's for anything that's visible. Granted, the pool, you need to get that approved, but you know, any kind of structure, like if you wanted to create like a shade structure or even just erect like a flagpole, you know, you have to get it approved, and it's better to do that than go through the trouble of putting it up and the expenses and then having them tell you to pull it back down. Yeah.
So it's really, you know, that resale package that we're talking about serves a lot of purposes when you're working on looking at different homes. But the good news working with us is we'll be able to give you kind of a heads up of some of the neighborhoods that we already know that are a little bit more strict or have those really weird rules or that might have a pending lawsuit to help you stay out of hot water so you don't waste your time writing an offer on a house that might not work for you. But your job is to be super aware of your lifestyle and what we just talked about that might be impeded upon when it comes to working on cars or doing some of the things in your lawn that you may not want to be able to do because of the rules.
Yeah, I mean, and HOAs aren't all negative. Like right now we're sitting in the Gardens Park. Summerlin itself is one of the most amazing communities ever.
In all of Las Vegas,
ever. And I would say the bang for your buck for what you get for the small amount you pay monthly for HOA is crazy what you get back.
You get the parks like this.
$46 a month, and you get this. You get access to like 3 community pools. There's thousands of miles of like walking trails,
running trails, dog parks. It's
and
amazing.
The schools are awesome. So it's like, it's not to say that we're being negative on HOAs because most of our clients live in them and we love HOAs.
And if you're gonna move to Vegas, you've got to be prepared to deal with an HOA experience. We're just here to help guide you so that you know, A, what to look for in advance, but really so that you walk in with a smile on your face and you don't walk in armed for battle. Like I know
they
you
won't
have
let me wash my car.
I know, like you have to do in other states, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I'd say is just being super aware of how often they're increasing their fees every month is a really big one. So, you know, some of them I've seen $13 a month, and it's been $13 a month since the beginning of time, and nothing has changed, and that's all fantastic and great. Some of them, like communities like maybe Inspirata, have upped the game every single year. They put that ratchet that up and up and up and up. Now, it's not, it may be up $5 a year, but after a while, that can certainly add up. So knowing those monthly, fees is super important, I would say.
I agree. Also, a really big thing to consider is, can you rent it out? Some homeowners associations won't let you rent it out.
Yeah, like will not allow more than a certain percentage of homes in the community to be a rental home at all. Period. End of story.
Even if you're not intending on making it a rental property, it's just nice to have that flexibility because like life happens, right? So let's say a couple of years down the road, you're living here as your primary residence, and like a couple of years down the road, you're like, I got this really good job offer, but I don't want to let this house go. And you want to rent it out. And then next thing you know, you find out you can't. So if you just find that out in advance, I mean, it can't necessarily dictate what the future will hold, but it gives you a very good idea of what the history has been so far. Because I know for sure, like condominium complexes can be very strict on that. They have
absolutely.
a very big cap on like the amount you can do. And then going to sell it, you know, you also lose all the investors that might want to buy the home because they can't rent it.
Yeah, and this is just, again, this is more of the advice for you. You know, you may think you're moving in to your permanent forever home.
Yeah.
And we hope that for you as well. But we also hope that life gives you some really good news as you move forward in life and that you're able to evolve, grow, go bigger, whatever. And we never, unless you sell it with us, of course, we never want you to sell the house because we want you to hang on to that investment and continue to make money. It's really important to understand like what long-term, holding real estate long-term can do for you financially and for your financial future. And you know, that's a major play when it comes to it. That's why I'm always so confused by why homeowners even agree to allowing those rules to be in place. And I think it's most of the time those homeowners who think they're just going to be living there forever and they want it to just be the same people forever, unless it's new homeowners in general, no renters. We don't want renters. Renters aren't a bad idea. They're not a bad thing, as long as you're a good landlord and you can manage it. So, yeah. I think this is a really good opportunity for us to talk about homeowners associations. It is a very hot topic. We are always answering questions about it, especially people who come from California. They're always stressed out about HOAs. So once again, we're not being negative.
No.
HOAs are a wonderful thing. They help keep the value of your home. They keep everybody in line. They keep your neighbor, like Steve, from spray painting his car in front of his freaking house so that you don't have to worry about your, I don't know, your car or your sidewalk looking like it's bright orange or whatever it's going to be. So we love HOAs. We love them, but we love them with boundary, right? I would love to say that.